I'm Diane Dean. I'm a friend of Ron Helman, and I've known him for quite some time, so it's my pleasure to introduce him today. And so as a featured speaker and coach, I'm delighted to introduce you to Ron. He's been working as a healer, teacher, and coach for over 45 years. He's also an amazing jazz musician and a recording artist. His background includes teaching at the Juilliard School Drama Department in New York City, and the creator of Ron's C57, a movement art studio in Carnegie Hall. He has worked with many celebrities, including Sting and Al Pacino, Julianne Moore, Mr. Big of Sex and the City, Chris Knott, and Desperate Housewives, Marcia Cross, as many top models, actors, musicians, and business professionals whose livelihoods demand peak performance. Ron also created Miles High Artist Management, representing the top talent of New York. In 2009, he went to Antarctica with National Geographic and astronaut Neil Armstrong for a 27-day exploration, following the footsteps of pioneer explorer Ernest Shackleton. His approach has always been holistic, employing exercises and techniques that use the body, mind, and spirit to achieve the goals he and his clients established together. His principles allow you to become more confident, happier, and more grounded than you ever thought you could be. So, without further ado, Ron Helman, your personal coach.
Who is that guy, Ron Helman? It's funny, you know, I was listening to the story about Ron Helman, what he's done, and it sounds pretty good. Worked with Sting and lived in New York and did all this stuff. And yet, I can't help but think that in a lifetime of doing work and just being on this planet, I've probably gotten more no's than yeses, by probably 9 no's to 1 yes in my life. I have had my butt kicked several times. I have been divorced, broke, just all those really hard times. And yet, something always connected with me that I should just get up and keep going. Just get up again and keep going. And what I've come to, I'm 61 years old, and one of the things I've come to understand is that it didn't really matter how many no's I got. All I really needed was a handful of high-quality yeses, just a little handful for my lifetime. They needed to be great yeses. I needed some good yeses, but I didn't need that much. And all of a sudden, it kept me going to sort of say, well, what is it that I really want? How would I like my life to really, really look? And do I have the courage to get that life? And that's fundamentally an endless pursuit. As soon as I get one thing, I might want another. As soon as I get another thing, I may lose that thing. I had it, and it's gone. So I've learned to sort of calibrate and adjust to these yeses and nos so that I can recognize what I'm grateful for. On a regular basis, especially in the beginning of the day, I practice yoga, and I do quite a bit of yoga. And I'm a little older, so I have to prepare my own body before I even go to a class. I do some stretches before I hand it over to someone else. And often I just spend a little bit of time thinking about what's working. You know, what's really working? And of course, I'm in a beautiful home. The heat is on. I had some killing coffee, some really great toast, and I'm about to start my day and help people. That's not a bad day. I think we know the days of others. Some people are in immense struggle. Some people are running for their lives right now. Some people and peoples are in exodus from their countries. So when I think about some of the things that are going on with me, that I didn't quite get what I wanted today and all that, I don't discount it. It matters. I feel it. But I need to put it into a much larger perspective. And that I have been so fortunate to be able to have the life that I've had and the life that I'm planning on having. What's interesting about this time of the year, what is it January 12th? Yeah, January 12th. We're 12 days into the new year. It's 2013. And most of us have some of our lives and our thoughts in the past, some in the present, and of course, planning the future, some a little bit out there to the future. It's pretty hard to stay in any one place for any given time. But probably you know that you've heard through a number of people, a number of really brilliant people, that being in the present is probably not a bad place to hang out. Because you can say, well, what's happening right now in my life? Do I feel safe? Do I have enough money for today? What's going to be unfolding? So often when I'm getting a little anxious and a little worried about something, again, I sort of return back to the moment. And in this moment, I'm here with you. So, thanks for coming. I think it's pretty great. I think based on sort of what I see in front of me, I'd like to know, you've probably read something in the paper, heard something on the radio. You may have some expectations about what we're going to do today, what you'd like to walk away with, some takeaways, things like that. And what I'd like to do is make sure you get what you came here for. So I'm going to reach out to this audience and let me hear why you're here and what you're thinking about getting and what would make you feel pretty good when you leave. Someone? Yes.
I didn't know I was going to be here until I spotted the little sign at Ruby K's on the bulletin board when I was coming out of the restaurant.
Perfect. So do you think that's an accident, or do you think that's sort of in the folder of destiny?
Over my lifetime, there's been too many things that one would say was chance. I no longer believe that because there's been too many of them. Turn right and went up the hill, came back down the hill for no good reason. It was just something I wanted to do. And was going into an intersection, and this lady turned left in front of me when I was at the green light. If I hadn't have gone that way, it wouldn't have been the accident.
Right.
You start to see these patterns over a long period of time, motivational things that either turn you on or turn you off. And I come to these things to try to find a different path into not only myself, but I coach, or did coach, many things over the years. And you have to find what will turn somebody on. Get them to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And as far as the rest of it goes, you sometimes lose your way. And you look for things that will get you back on where you need to be. It's all just finding out and figuring out yourself and what you have to do.
Fantastic. Thank you. That was a great share. I really appreciate that. Someone else, why are you here? Yes.
I'll be starting a new project in my life. I'll be teaching entrepreneurship at UNM.
Oh.
And thought this might be a good kickoff to that because I've not done teaching before, but I've done a lot of entrepreneurship in my past. And I thought this might be a nice forum to start down this new path.
Good. Well, I'm going to see what I can do about that. How about one more? Why are you here? What do you want to get? Yes.
Okay, well, I really didn't know what you were going to be talking about, my friend here.
Exactly.
Invited me to come and do that. But I think our focus needs to be right now inside of us
Mm.
and to connect with our inner knowing or our own truth, because that's our true rudder. And so we've been focused outside of ourselves for so long, and now's the time to go within. It's an inside job. And so any awarenesses that we can bring out of this, we can make better choices and take more responsibility for our lives and how we direct them.
Well, that's just perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. Well, I'm a jazz musician, and I do gigs and recordings. I record with people and all that. So I'm going to take the liberty to sort of have an improvisatorial style a little bit. So what I'd like you to do right now, because it was mentioned about sort of this inner space, sit in a comfortable position, maybe put your notebooks down to the side. Just be comfortable for a moment. Put your hands on your lap or wherever you'd like. And I'd like you to just simply close your eyes. We're just going to do a very brief, simple meditation so that we can all become present. Okay, just relax, eyes closed. And what I'd like you to notice only, for now, if you can, is just your breath going in and out. And see if you can stop thinking. Just notice it going in. Notice it going out. Notice if there's any tension in the body, in the shoulders and the neck. And on every exhale, see if you could just relax a little bit more. We're not going to sleep. You're fully conscious. I'm going to begin counting 4 counts to breathe in and 4 counts to breathe out. And you'll just find your way into the counting. So it'll take 4 breaths to inhale and 4 breaths to exhale. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 2 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, and just resume your normal breathing. Slowly open your eyes. Okay. So, I have some experience in meditation. I've been meditating a long time. That's just one simple version. It's amazingly simple. I mean, I'm not sure if there's anything as easy as that, just to simply close your eyes, sit, and breathe. And yet, we don't use it for its value. We don't understand its value. What can happen, though, is when we are in the throes of our day, or we're anxious about something or worried about something, we can change the direction of that conversation and how you feel about what you're thinking about in literally 60 seconds or so. I mean, that's all this was. So immediately what I want to do is hand over this opportunity to be conscious that this is available to you all the time. You know, you're on the phone and you're not getting what you want. you know, someone has you on hold. and you're trying to multitask or do something and it's not quite working, that if you simply sit down at any point and take these breaths, you will be more grounded and more centered. And this is what this lovely woman was talking about, really, because it's all going to be from the inside out. I also, it's a perspective I have, but not everyone can get everything they want. There's lots of people that want lots of things. But it's been my experience that sometimes there's a misalignment with who you are and what you want. Someone may come up to me who's 77 years old and they want to be president of the United States. And I suggest, okay, I hear you. I acknowledge what you said to me. But maybe we may want to start with sort of doing some community service and work our way up to something like that. So one of the things that we'll be doing in this gathering today is let's see if you're aligned, in fact, with the intentions that you could succeed in. You know, that actually matters. And see if it's actually what you really want. Let's see. Okay. While I'm remembering, I want to acknowledge two people, and one is Mandy Marksteiner. Mandy is a client of mine, and you may know her from the hood here, Los Alamos hood. And she's a marketing and branding and copyright specialist, and she's very good at what she does. And she is, yeah, round of applause, okay? And she's really helped me in gathering you folks here and to, make this an opportunity for me. And she's really great. And Manny and I have been working for a little while, and her own growth, I will say, I may have some prejudice, has been incredible from where she was to where she is today. And part of that is not about me. I'm really the guide. I bring you to the giraffe and say, now you take the picture. But she's done some very hard work and has done some of the changing from the inside out that is necessary to move forward, because that's really where the change is. And then today I have Diane Dean here. And she's sort of being a bit modest, but she's my girlfriend. And I'm lucky enough to have recovered divorce and found someone in my life that I really care about. What's interesting about Diane, though, when we just met, which was only in September, she was working for an organization, and we're just meeting, and she's happy, and we're kind of going along. But there's this job she has that is like making her miserable, like horrifying, just like a horrifying scenario. And I said, well, you might have met the right and wrong person, maybe, because some people who know me, I seem to have people quit their jobs. They just quit. I say, they just quit. She quit her job. Boom. No net, no other job lined up, nothing. And then when she did that, I knew she was my kind of gal. Because it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to make a shift in your life, to have it go in the direction you want it to go. In this case, and even more interesting, she made a decision that she wanted to sort of create a yoga apparel. We met in yoga. And that she wanted to start with creating the finest T-shirts that is available in the world. That's her vision for her company. And she just started that company maybe 10 days ago or so. And what's so fascinating about that, to add to that, and I say this for inspiration for all of you, doesn't have a clue on how to do that. Like, has no idea how to do that. And yet, something within her says, well, it's been done before. I mean, I buy T-shirts. I buy nice T-shirts. It's just a T-shirt. I can figure this out. I can figure this out. And that's what she's doing. And you'll probably see that T-shirt somewhere in your path. And then what else? I was watching television the other day, thinking in this line. I click, 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 surf, 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 and I see Bravo, all the reality shows. And there's a commercial for a new show. I think it's called Double D Divas or something. It's a show about bras and women's chests. And I said, and then I saw another show about some guy that kills bugs and gets rid of mice or something. It's a reality show. And I'm going, I'm a New Yorker. I kind of know the television and movie industry. I work with television stars and directors. I know how it works. I swear I know how it works. And I'm going, if it's possible to get a television show about catching a mouse, isn't anything possible? I mean, isn't anything possible? I think what we'll do now is part of what this talk is about, little piece of how one's life could get a little bit better. I'd like to begin with this topic of boundaries. Let me look at my notes here. Diane, maybe I could use your help. Maybe at the board you can do some writing.
Well,
it doesn't work?
No.
Oh.
My pen is not wide enough or dark enough.
Oh. Okay, then you're going to have to use your imaginations. That's good. When you're a jazz musician, all of a sudden, you hear something kind of go along and somebody changes the song on you. And you go, oh, we're going over here. When I was actually, I'm a trumpet player. Mandy will know this. I got scholarships to go to school. And I was going to the University of Tampa. And I used to play one of those long trumpets with the flag on it. And I was with these kind of cool trumpet players, and we didn't really want to go to rehearsal, and we didn't want to do anything. We were just sort of, bad boys. And I remember marching, kind of going like this, and we didn't know the formations or anything, and we'd be going like this, and we'd see like the band going that way. And we'd go, okay, let's move this way. And we just winged it along the way. So don't worry about that. Oh, yeah. I see. Okay, so maybe this is something you can write down and talk to me about, because I'd like to know this. Here's a question for you. How do you feel when you hear the word no? And I'd like to just see what some of these feelings are. What comes up for you when you hear the word no? Now, that obviously can be in different contexts. But let's see. Leanne Parsons. Okay, Leanne, someone says no. What happens to you?
Well, I can kind of get a little bit ruffled and say, well, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? No, why not? I'm going to look at, I wear glasses. Okay. How do you pronounce that?
Nick.
Nick, I want to make sure. Nick, no. What happens?
Okay, I'll ask someone else.
Ah, there we go. If that door doesn't open, another one may open, right? I'm going to look at that name. What's it say? Shar. What a nice name. Shar, no. What happens to you?
I think I have to re-emphasize what I was
Intending?
intending.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so Char's going to reevaluate, like maybe I should have gotten a no, maybe I should have not, but I'm going to kind of reevaluate or even recalibrate my statement to get a yes. Yeah.
You didn't understand what I was saying.
Oh.
What I meant.
Oh, yes, right, exactly.
So,
You didn't
I
understand.
will get you to say yes.
There we go. There we go. Okay, we have kids over here. Boy, they don't like no. When you hear no, what do you think? This is your mother? Your mom says no. What do you think? What do you feel?
Sometimes I feel upset.
You feel upset. You're darn right.
She growled at me this morning.
Yeah. We were, "Rrr, let me know." Well, it's kind of interesting because in setting boundaries, we're the people who are going to have to say no. No, you can't do that. No, you have no permission to do that. As a mother, you have to have some boundaries. She's getting too close to the oven and there's a fire on. You want to help her. Okay. How do you feel when you use the word no? Now you're the person saying no. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get this name.
Gaily.
Gaily.
Yes.
Gaily, you're going to use the word no. How's that make you feel?
I tend to not want to offend another person.
Ah, did you hear that, everyone? I don't want to offend another person. I mean, that was an organic, natural response, live TV, right? I don't want to offend another person. I know what you mean. You know, they're gonna feel a certain way about me.
That's right.
I don't want them to have that feeling about me. Excellent, thank you so much. Let's see, I'm doing names here. Anna, when you use the word no, how does that make you feel?
I'm in control.
Ah, in control. No. Stop. Don't move. And that's not a bad thing. Matter of fact, there's no real evaluation whether this is good or bad. How's that sound? Let's take the value off of it. We use it in different ways at different times. Okay, why would you use the word no? When is it? No, I'm not even going to use the word appropriate. Just simply, you're going to use the word no. When's that going to show up for you? This woman, I'm sorry.
Never.
Never. Oh, never. Okay. Yes?
A situation that's come up for me really recently is I'm looking at buying a house with my partner,
Mm-hmm.
and he's picked a house he likes, and I need to say no.
Ah. Yeah. I kind of know, having been married. Yeah, there is those things, because people sometimes, often, they have their own agendas, and they kind of want their way, right? They want their way. Even though it looks like our way, it's kind of their way. These might be kind of appropriate time for the use of boundaries. Here's another question I have for you. This is kind of interesting. Do you give your energy and life force to others first before you take care of yourself? Anyone do that sometimes? You just give it away. I got one hand, I got 2 hands, 3 hands, 4 hands, 5 hands, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. We kind of give it away first. And why do you think you do that? Anyone have an inkling of why you have an inclination to do it first, like take care of someone else first? Why? There's several ways, and there's no wrong answer. Yeah.
In order to be approved of, or to be loved, or to, it could be shame that's triggering them.
Yeah. You bet. Anyone else? You giving it away? Responsibility. You need to be a responsible person. Take care of that person, take care of that situation. I'll put me on hold. It seems appropriate. Seems like the right thing to do. Well, there's truth to everything you said. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with helping someone else first or putting yourself on the back burner. That's appropriate. The challenge is if that's sort of what you do all the time in almost all your situations, you've just like, like when you look at a phone and you see your battery draining, pretty much every day you just drain yourself. And yet you need energy to help people, help your children, help your husband. I think the question then, and this is partly what we're going to lead into, when is no a yes? When is no a yes? So let's do a little bit more participation with that. When do you think a no is a yes? Anybody? When no is a yes. You have a beautiful daughter, you have a son here, you say no all the time. When is that a yes? What is it a yes for?
That's a very good question, because I use no too freely, and that's part of the issues,
Yeah,
problem that I have.
that's right.
It's very natural.
That's right. You may be, we sort of use the oven, hot oven illustration a little bit. Or you're saying no, but you're actually saying yes to your lovely, beautiful daughter. You're saying, yes, I love you. Yes, I care about you. Yes, I am the parent and I'm responsible for you. And so it's not, no, you can't have it, and no, you're too young for it, and all those things. You're saying, I love you. Your mother is saying, I love you. And she cares about you. And she wants to make sure that you come here with a coat on and all that kind of stuff. So no can be a yes. It's just that we have to be able to distinguish the difference on how we use these two simple words. And that's what's kind of interesting. I want to read you something. I like Wikipedia. It's kind of fun. It's like, sort of, for me, it's the new dictionary. I don't know about you, but I'm old enough to have to get the thick dictionaries and start going through. And what letter goes in front of that? What's after O? Boundaries. What are boundaries, and when would you exercise them? All right. There's several kinds of boundaries, but I'm going to read one type of boundary called personal boundaries. Personal boundaries are guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates to identify for him or herself what are responsible, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave around him or her, and how he or she will respond when someone steps outside of those limits. That's a lot of words, huh? Do you get that, basically? I mean, you basically get that. In other words, what are reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for people to be with you? Like what's okay and what's not. I think we've seen, it's sort of easier to see in others when, a husband is talking to a wife in the supermarket and he's really being disrespectful and a pain in the butt and, doing all that stuff. Wow, that's intense. I mean, look at her just take all that. Vice versa. Let's continue with this, because this is kind of what we're going to be working a little bit today. They are built out of a mix of beliefs, opinions, attitudes, past experiences, and social learning. Now, what does that mean? Actually, I'm going to read it again, and then we're going to play around with what that might mean, because this is an important juncture. They are built out of a mix of beliefs. All right? Your boundaries are constructed out of your beliefs, your opinions, attitudes, past experiences, and social learning. And what I want to suggest, if that is true, if you accept that as a definition, they're not even yours. You just have taken ownership of them. I remember a few years back, a pretty long time, I heard my, how you can hear yourself talking sometimes, you're either in your head or something, and I was saying something, and I said, where did that come from? I don't even use that expression. It could be like from the 1800s, from the Civil War. It's been passed down. And I said, wow, I think my father used to say that all the time. Or a certain way I would sort of, use an expression or say something to people, and I go, that's not me. And if it would serve me, I'd hold on to it. But I remember having those moments, and then once I had that moment, I started to look for those moments. Like, what's me and what's not? There's gray area in that, of course. But part of it is this idea that we are attached to our beliefs, and they're absolutely true, beyond the shadow of a doubt. And sometimes we believe we suck, that we're worthless, that, why would anyone give us money? Why do we deserve love? All those things. And I'm going to suggest that you can sort of like untangle the fishing wire. I was with my friend. We were in the Hamptons, and let's go fishing. And I don't know anything about any of this stuff, so we got this reel, and we saw these birds flying over. We said, "The fish are over there. We're running." And I went like, and the thing just. I had so much tangle in there that it took me all day to do. I didn't fish, but I did untangle the wire because I said I'm going to try to do this. But our beliefs are what we sort of hang our hat on. I think about like these through the times. I just saw Lincoln, right? So slavery was, yeah, of course you can sell people. I need some money. I'm going to sell these two people right here. I believe it. Everybody, it was a law. If you were the child of a person in the Ku Klux Klan, pretty much by the age of 5, anyone with dark skin, absolutely owning that belief. Absolutely claiming that belief. And again, I'm going to suggest that we take a look at what is it that we believe, and is it true? Because you also get to choose your beliefs. I believe in this God. I believe in that God. I believe in that Allah. I believe whatever. But the real question is, will your belief systems help you? And will it serve you? And will it help others? Ultimately. Is it connected to love? Is all your action, I say sometimes to myself when blank is hitting the fan, I go, what is the loving answer here? Like, let's just jump to the chase and like, what is the loving answer here? Not the one that I want to do. Not the one, that's kind of what I feel, but that's hopefully not the one I do. Let me continue to read some more about these boundaries. Personal boundaries define you as an individual, outlining your likes and dislikes, and setting the distances you allow others to approach. They include physical, mental, psychological, spiritual boundaries involving beliefs, emotions, intuitions, and self-esteem. I'm going to read that again. It takes, I don't know, I need to read everything twice myself. Personal boundaries define you as an individual, outlining your likes and dislikes, and setting the distances you allow others to approach. They include physical, mental, psychological, spiritual boundaries involving beliefs, emotions, intuitions, and self-esteem. So, here's some questions. And I sort of started here, one of these questions, maybe the first one. Can I set limits and still be a loving person? Can I set limits and still be a loving person? What do you think? Let me hear something. You think, again, this is not a right or wrong thing. It's the only way you can be loving. Interesting, huh? So you view it as an act of love, to exercise love and demonstrate love.
And you have to love yourself first.
And you have to love yourself first. We hear that a lot, right? Love yourself first. How come that's so hard? Seems like it should be easy. I don't think it's that easy. I mean, I think we can do it, but we have to kind of work on it. Maybe it's because that we don't believe we're worthy of love. Or someone told us that we're horrible, we did that, and that was a horrible job. Or a parent said, well, you got into that school, but we really wanted you to go to that school. Right? Yeah. What does love feel like? Isn't that interesting? That's really interesting.
I can think it, but what does it really feel
Yeah.
like?
Okay, let's deal with that question. Mandy, what does love feel like for you? When you're feeling that you're loved, what does it feel like? That's all right. It's just no wrong answer. Don't think a lot about it. Go.
Okay, well, I guess I feel like I'm being taken care of.
Ah.
And that the other, I feel like I'm being taken care of and just kind of, held in a warm embrace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. Did you watch Mandy say that? Did you look at her? Did you see what I saw? Almost tears in her eyes, really. Right. Because that's ultimately what we're looking for. It seems like we're looking for money. It seems like we're looking for a good job. It seems like we're looking for all kinds of things. But I subscribe that ultimately you're looking for love. And it comes in a lot of forms. Hey, love can be in a paycheck. I love my paycheck. I like that. What are legitimate boundaries? Like, how do you distinguish what a boundary is? Like, it's a legitimate boundary, and what would be a legitimate boundary? Anyone? I'm going to get you to talk. I'm going to be walking up and looking at your tag and calling your name out. Someone? A legitimate boundary.
Respect at work.
Respect at work. Yeah, that's legitimate, right? You're just a human being, just like your boss, right? No hierarchy here. It seems to be there's an agreement. There's a hierarchy. I learned a long time ago. I've worked with a lot of pretty famous people, powerful people. I mean, serious ass people. And I learned a long time ago that they're not any different than me. They're not lower or higher. They're pretty much nose to nose. That was a boundary unto itself. And it actually established a pretty darn good relationship. Eye to eye. Just straight eye to eye. Other legitimate boundaries. Aretha Franklin, maybe you know this. She's been married 5-6 times. Incredible artist. Every single one of her husbands beat her. All of them. Now talk about attraction principles, right? Talk about what you identify and you think you want something. I want this guy. He's the guy. He's the bad boy. And hence that happens. So I think physical abuse, verbal abuse, we can go on and on. I think we know what some of these legitimate boundaries might be. What if someone is upset or hurt by your boundaries? I sort of smelled that one a little earlier. Wow, you said no, and they go, or whatever they do. What if someone's upset? What if you say no, and someone's upset that you said no? How does that make you feel?
Again, try to explain to them that their feelings don't have, I will acknowledge their feelings, but explain why they don't have to be so hurt.
Exactly. That was quite astute, really, because, sorry, I don't have my glasses. Char, yeah. I like Char. Got some Char going. Her response, not reaction, like in this pretend scenario, is that she just hold it now. Let me just tell you how I'm feeling, and here's kind of why this boundary is in place. Because the boundary itself will serve both of you. See, it's not just yours all for you, but it's actually going to serve both of you. And that's important to understand. Because when you set a boundary, you're going to be helping someone else out. In this case, your daughter will not burn her hand on the stove. You set a boundary. You were very clear about it. Maybe not too happy about it because the cookies were on the top, So these are other considerations. Are boundaries selfish? Selfish. Are they selfish? No. The gentleman who just happened to have wandered in here today, boundaries, are they selfish?
More than likely.
More than likely. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can...
People grow up, and you touched it quite a bit. Your brain is like a computer, and your mother, father, aunts, uncles, everybody has input into the computer, and what you see has been proved by some people, that you look for women to love that look like their mother.
Right.
You look for men to love who look like their father. Or the behavior between your mother and father is what you expect from the person you're looking at. And if Aretha Franklin was to find out that her father beat her mother, that's probably why she looks for guys that will beat her.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on and on and on. And if you want to really know, the military takes that out of you by beating you up, making you tired, and changing your attitude.
Right.
There should be better ways to do that, but there doesn't seem to be. So boundaries are fine. There's boundaries for you, there's boundaries for other people. In my situation, when I was running my nightclub, there were boundaries for everybody who walked in the door.
Right.
And unfortunately, I was out in the country and I had to enforce those boundaries. During the 7 years I ran it, I had to pull a 45 on people and tell them I'd shoot them dead where they stood if they didn't do what I told them. Luckily, they believed me.
Good thing they did. Boundaries. Thank you, Julian. Yeah. Boundaries can be selfish. Is it okay to be selfish? You know, I think I was telling Diane, I said, if you notice on the airplane, you know that speech that we all don't listen to, about where the exit things are and what size plane there is and all those things. One of the things I think that you've heard somehow is that when the oxygen mask comes down, put it on yourself first and then your child or whoever you might be able to help. There's a reason for that. There's good reasons for being selfish. There's good reasons for setting boundaries. That's really, in a short talk, there are very legitimate reasons why you'd set a good boundary. And that the act of being selfish is incredibly wonderful. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to the gym. No, I'm going to yoga. No, I'm not cooking tonight. Not happening. I need a break. Matter of fact, you wash the dishes. I'm getting a massage. That type of thing. We can go on and on with that. Let me see how my time's doing. Okay, not bad. One more on this, and then we'll kind of move on. Why do I feel guilty or afraid when I consider setting a boundary? Guilt, right? Why do we feel afraid, a little guilty? What do you think that's about? Anybody? Yes.
Again, it's programming, subconscious programming
Right.
from your past, or
Mm-hmm.
it can be genetic.
Yeah.
And it's low self-esteem. I think the word selfish has
Mhm.
had a real negative charge on it.
That's right.
And we need to look at it differently, because if we're not selfish,
Mhm.
we're not taking care of ourselves, and that's our responsibility.
Yeah.
And we cannot give anything to anyone else until we have it within ourselves.
Right. A point well taken. Mandy, yeah, thank you. That was fantastic.
Okay, so my kids push my boundaries all the time.
Okay.
And I have to, and I think I want to be a very loving mother, so I'll lay down with them and then take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll all be laying down, we'll be snuggling, it's like sort of an attachment parenting thing. But sometimes I get really tired, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden my kids, their voices are like, under my skin, and
Yeah.
I can't even stand them around them, I don't even, It just happened yesterday, and I was like, my son was, and my daughter, they were just both like, they felt like they were chasing me around the house, and I was like, oh my God, people, get away from me. And I ended up just going to my room, shutting the door, and having my husband, like, you take care of it. And I just went
Exactly.
under the covers, and I was like, I am taking a nap. And it felt so good. But if I wouldn't have done that, then I would not have been able to love my children, because they were very, they were driving me crazy. And
So
I would have become a teacher.
Right. So ultimately, yes, a very good point. She just said she could become abusive. You know, just say those things that we say when we're mad, because we say them. That's not responding. That's reacting. You're just, you know. It only takes if the water on the stove was hot already, and it gets a little hotter. It only takes 1 degree to get it to boil. That's it. And ultimately, the act of you taking care of yourself would serve your children, ultimately. I mean,
Fell asleep for like,
yeah, I mean, you know, just, yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I would have.
Well, maybe I'll kind of conclude this little part. And again, take what you want, leave the rest. I'm not attached to being right about anything. I'm just here to help, right? That's all I'm doing. One tool, and this is not an uncommon tool, you might have heard of it before. It's often used in psychotherapy and couples therapy and things like that. And it kind of goes something like this. It is important to state our feelings out loud and to precede the feeling with I feel. I feel. I feel. What we tend to do is we tend to say, I am. I am angry. I'm hurt. I'm pissed off. That's what we do. But what the distinction is that when we say that I am, we actually we are saying that we are the anger. I'm a human. I'm not an angry. I'm a human. I'm not a tired. So when we tend to express to whoever we need to express this to, I feel when it makes me feel sad when you go off and watch football when really what I want is some attention. You know, versus saying I'm pissed, and every time you do this, it just pisses me off. You know, that kind of thing. It tends not to work. But if you can tap into the feelings of someone else to share that feeling, the real feeling, it turns into something more clear than a complaint. Because as soon as we hear complaints, we turn off. Everybody doesn't like what we do. One more thing. My boss doesn't want me to do this, and my wife doesn't want me to do that, my husband, and I just can't take it anymore. So if you simply sub out that as an expression, and then just, again, don't make the big list for the big talk I'm recommending. Like do 1 or 2 feelings the most in any given time, because it will break down really quickly. And really what you can do is negotiate what that, you know, maybe your husband, wife, friend, boss can identify with that feeling, actually. And really that's what you want. You want them to feel your feeling. You want them to feel your feeling so that maybe they would adjust or accommodate and choose something else that would work for you. Let's see. Okay. We're going to do something. I don't know how we'll do it, but we're going to figure this out. I don't know how many people are here, but there's a little bit. I'm looking, let's see, 1, 2, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. For today, just in a random way, actually, we're not going to do this quite yet. I'm going to ask you some questions. Does everyone have something to write with and write down? If you don't, we have some paper and pens. Or can you write some answers to some questions? Anyone missing anything? Anyone need a paper and pen is the question. We're good? Oh, perfect. Okay. These, I'm going to ask you some questions, like 10 questions. And if you would, you don't have to do anything. No one has to stay. I'd like you to just have some brief answer. There's the long version of every answer, every question. But just if you can get to the heart of that and answer these 10 questions. And when we are done with those 10 questions, you're going to break into 2 little circles and move the chairs a bit. And you're going to express those to others. And I'll explain that when we get to that juncture. So here, let me read one more thing before I ask you the first question. Everybody good? You all with me? Okay. Personal values provide an internal reference for what is good. The topic right now, move from boundaries to values. What do you value? I'm going to start again. Personal values provide an internal reference to what is good, beneficial, important, useful, beautiful, desirable, constructive, etc. Values generate behavior and help solve common human problems. Isn't that interesting? Your values generate your actual behavior and help solve problems if you understand your values. If I walk up to a person on the street and say, "What are your values?" They freeze. They don't even know what they value. So if you're thinking you're operating your life out of values and you want your life to move forward, often when I work with one-on-one coaching things, we do a lot of exercises in just defining your values. What's important to you? What's important to you? So the first thing that I'd like you to do is name, no order, don't think too much, just you get to change it later, all that stuff. Name 10 values. What is really important to you? And I'll give you a couple minutes and I'm going to go right to the next, When you're done, just give me some feeling you're done. Okay, we're going to wrap that up. Again, leave a little space. You can fill that in a little bit more. Next question. There's 10 questions. This is question number 2. How do you know you're living your values? That you're actually living your values, and what is the evidence? What's the evidence that you are doing these things that you just wrote down? How do you know you're living your values and kind of being in the world, showing up with these values in front of you? Could be a sentence. How do you know? What's the evidence? What have you always wanted to do but never finished? What if you always wanted to do, maybe you started it, maybe you didn't, but for sure you never finished it? It could be more than one thing, but certainly at least one. Okay, just, we're going to kind of move to the next one. Do you love what you do? If it's a yes, how do you want it to grow? If it's a no, what are you holding on to? Do you love what you do? If it's a yes, how do you want it to grow? And it could be anything. If it's a no, what are you holding on to? Slowly segue to the neast question. And obviously, I know I'm cutting your time a little short with these. I get it. But you can work on these. You at least have the question. You can work on these tomorrow, too. That type of thing. Next question. What do you want to say no to? What do you want to say no to? And in essence, you're beginning to start your list of boundaries. What do you want to say no to? What are your boundaries? What do you want to say no to? No more of this. All right. Segue to the next question. What scares you? What scares you? My brother, who's only like a year younger than me, and I've known him obviously his whole life, he calls them, and he makes like a baby sound in his voice. He calls them like scary monsters. What are those things that kind of really get you really a little frightened? Those voices. Next. what is the cost? What is the cost of not taking care of yourself first? What does that cost you? Next question, sort of a two-part question, or two little questions that run with each other. What is the cost of not getting the support you need? And what may happen if you simply choose business as usual? Just go on, everything the same. So what's the cost if you don't get the support? And what would it look like if you pretty much have tomorrow pretty much the same way as today? No change. I like this question. This is kind of interesting. What could you do today that would make a big difference in your future? And I want to qualify that a little bit. Just the way you see something different. You see something differently. You have a perspective change. You just simply see something differently. Or is there an actual stance that you would want to take? Today I'm going to blah, blah, blah. Or this is enough. Today I'm setting this boundary. But more importantly, is it that kind of decision that could actually make a big difference in your future? I remember hearing that question a long time ago, because sometimes we do our days, we just go along our days, and we actually don't do the one thing that could actually make a real difference. Like that one thing that, like if we did that, like quit our job, if I quit my job today, that is going to make a profound change in my life. Or if I, say I'm not going to be living with this person anymore today, it's over. Those things are trajectories to make some big changes in your future, whatever they may be. Let's see, I think there's one more. And I find this, I've been challenged this way myself on several times. I've been asked this question a lot. Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And how do you know that? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to change your future? And how do you know you're so willing to do it? What's the evidence for that? It's, Happy New Year, New Year's Eve. How many people made New Year's resolutions? Anyone actually make any? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people made definitive New Year's resolutions. Mandy, what did you do?
I wanted to pay off my student loans and my husband's student loans.
Wanted to pay off some loans.
Yeah.
Get rid of that debt. Someone else.
Exercise at a minimum 4 times a week.
Minimum 4 times a week, exercise. Minimum.
I made a resolution not to make any resolutions.
There we go. Not going to make that. Anyone else? We're good? Well, you've heard it time and time again. You claim something, right? I was a personal trainer. I created, you heard that I had a studio in Carnegie Hall. Famous studio, famous clients, all that kind of stuff. And pretty much, it was like January 2nd or 3rd, you couldn't get into my studio, it was so filled. I couldn't even get in to teach. By January 18th, it cut back 50%. Really. Then it became, that's the people who were staying. These are the people who made that commitment. And why do you think that is? I mean, that's just one topic, but we all claim that we want something and we need to do it. I need to lose weight. I have to lose weight. I want to make money. I need more money.
We want it now.
We want it now.
It's hard to sometimes.
And you want to start now. You want to get started. Come on, time is enough. And somehow a calendar, like the Mayan calendar, the calendar says this is when we're going to do it. And it doesn't work. In what I do, my world of coaching and this kind of thing, how would I put it? It kind of works in a sequence like this. Part of this is these questions, really. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you really? You know, when no one's looking, who are you? What is it that you want? And that's going to be based on who you are. Not just on what I want. I want something because I am somebody. I'm this. This is who I am. And I want this. And then the next one goes, well, how do I get it? As a trainer, you know, when I was in the training thing, I'd have people. I train more women than men. You know, like there's more women doing this, like in yoga. I had a woman. I'll never. I've had this on several occasions, but she came in with a list. I want to hire you. I understand you're a famous personal trainer, and you train this person, this person. So here's what I want. I want my ass to be smaller. I want a little less fat here. I'd like to have slightly bigger calves. I'd like my bra. And she went on, and she just did the list. And I said, and it was like as though she was leaving off some dry cleaning. And then she was going to just leave, and I was going to do that for her. You know? And I go, you could have all those things. I think she finished with saying, I want a swimmer's body. You know, like the way divers look, and swimmer's body. That's what I want. And I said, okay, you can have that. She'd go, really? Yeah, you can have that. Because I train, you know, swimmers and gymnasts, and I've trained the people. I went into, let's say, an Olympic swimmer, Michael Phelps, right? Said, let's see, he lives like someplace cold. He's up at 4 in the morning. He's in the water at 5 o'clock in the morning. He does this, he does that, he gets out, he does weight training. He's like on lunges. And I went in, and it took like 15 minutes to tell this woman what he did. And I said, are you willing to do that? And she couldn't even speak. She couldn't speak. And what was sort of interesting about it, I said, would you like to just start with sort of just showing up and doing a little moving, a little stretching? Maybe we'll take a look at your nutrition. And we'll take a look at the swimmer body a little bit later. But in the meantime, can we just show up to be a little healthy? You know, can we just start that way, one step at a time? So a lot of times when we, based on who we are and what we want and how we're going to get it, what coaches, it's not just me, it's this industry that I'm a part of, we take a look at, are you sure you want what you want? Because here's what it's going to take. And if you do want that, and there seems to be an alignment with who you are, then we're going to set up a strategy that cannot fail for the most part. If you do these steps, you will do that. Good diets work. They all work. The diet itself just sits on a piece of paper like this, working perfectly. Perfect. Working good. It's whether we have set ourselves up to be able to do that. You know, we set ourselves up. So strategy is a lot, but they're all connected. Who are you? Do you really want what you want? I even asked this question, actually. It's an interesting question. If you get what you want, tell me how your life's going to be different. If you get what you want, demonstrate how it's going to be different, how it's going to be better. You know, like rock stars. Oh, if I only get to play Madison Square Garden and have the girls throw their panties up on the stage, I'm in. And then they get there and they're on tour and they're exhausted and their management is really taking all their money. And, you know, someone didn't show for this and that. And they go, boy, I got my dream and like, this stinks. So we take a look ahead to see what the picture looks like. So, you can actually start to write the movie. You can write the movie, look at your movie and say, do I have a role in that movie? And if I'm that, is that going to be it? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. But at the same time, as the woman in the corner said, she says, it's an inside job. It's always going to be an inside job. Because ultimately, you need very little to be very, very happy. You don't need a lot to be really happy. Because the things actually don't make you happy. There's a great book, Your Money or Your Life. It's like in 30 languages, written 30 years ago or something. It was kind of interesting. They were talking about, they had it graphed out. You want to, okay, here's the object. This is a Ming Dynasty vase, valued at $25,000 at Sotheby's. And the first thing you're doing is like, ooh, I really want that. That is so beautiful. That is an antique. I could see where that could go. I really want that. Dun, 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 dun. Sitting over here. I've been to these places where you hold up a number. They're like this. Sold to the man in the gray sweater. And I go, whop. Right there, I'm at the peak experience of this object. This is the orgasm moment right here. This is it. Because from this point, it drops. Now you have this at the entrance of your home, like on a round table, and the light is there, and you go by and you look at it, love that. Going in, 2 months later, yeah, that's nice. Coming in from the Long Island Railroad, it's raining, you don't even look at it. And it disappears. Gone. Can everyone name every article of clothing in your closet? Go. Ready? Go. You got a hutch full of whatevers? Name them. Go. It all goes away. Always will. And you wouldn't believe what we'll continue to do that. And I include myself, by the way. By the way, I'm you. I'm you. I'm not life coach Ron Helman. I'm you. I look at that and I go, Ron, you got enough stuff. It's nice to have, but it ain't making you happy. Not really. It's very temporary. With that said, I want you to, we're going to just so you are not interrupting each other, we're going to have 6 or 7 people just make a circle over here with these chairs. You guys kind of go over there, make a little circle over there, and you're going to make 2 little circles. And one at a time, just one person, just start and you say, I'll go first. I'd like you to read the question and the answer so everyone just simply hears what you wrote down. In other words, you're just going to bear witness to that. And if you didn't write it down, you didn't write it down, whatever. You can listen. What I'm going to request is you're not here to fix anybody. We don't want to hear your opinions about anything. All I want you to experience is that someone heard you. That's it. They heard you. Next. They heard you. Next. And that you are claiming something here. That, in fact, these are your words. This scares me. This is what I want to say no to. All that. Okay, we'll do that for not very long. 15 minutes tops. Go. When I was just watching you in the circles, and I didn't really quite hear anything. I heard little words and little phrases. I was reminded when I first started coaching something that was hard for me to get my head wrapped around because I was so conditioned in various beliefs that it didn't make any sense to me. A coach, actually one of the creators of coaching, he's one of the founding members of the work that I did, was speaking to me about the power of vulnerability. And, I had a lot of resistance around that, to share with people how I really felt, what I was afraid of, and particularly in the beginning of coaching where you get out of coaching school and you're ready to start your business and you don't have one client. But you're a coach, you're a life coach. You got to have your act together. Of course, immediately you have to have a prosperous and good business. And I was sort of posing. I was sort of posing that I had my act together. And in a way, I did. I was ready to do some good coaching. But my business didn't even have any business. And I was not attracting clients. I was ready to go, and I wasn't attracting any clients. And he said to me, tell people what's really going on. Tell them that you don't have one client, that you don't really know quite how to start a business, at least this business, and see what happens. And what was so interesting, and I'm telling you, that was one of the hardest things for me to do, because I'm inclined to want to look pretty good. I have an inclination to want to show up looking pretty good. I have my act together. And I did start to share that vulnerability, and my practice began to grow. People then identified with me. They actually identified with me. Oh, I know how you're feeling. I feel that feeling. I want you to coach me, because then you'll understand my feelings. Because I almost can get teary-eyed about it, because it wasn't easy to do. But that's when I was looking over, I heard these little voices, sharing a little of that and a little of that and a little of that. And I was just thinking that my purpose becomes clearer all the time. Because if for somehow we all wound up together, just by looking at a poster, there was a reason for that. And if you walked away with anything that was of value to you, I'm very, very delighted. Just very briefly, anyone want to share anything about that circular experience or anything about this workshop before I go on very briefly? Anybody have anything? Yes?
We had 3 people that want to write.
3 people that want to write.
And 4 actually.
4 people that want to write. Very nice. I think that's fantastic. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Well, let me tell you what I'm doing. Okay? It's not the elephant in the room, it's just what I do. It's not even a pitch. Because it matters and it doesn't matter. Remember I said a little earlier, you can have very little and have so much. So I already have a lot. I have my health and I feel really good. But I wanted to make it possible for the people who came to this talk or by word of mouth that I'm creating sort of a think tank, a brainstorming group or groups. I had that experience with one of my coaches. He called it all for one, meaning all for one, one for all. And the investment was, you'll get something, like in a little circle, but each person had an investment in you doing really well. They are invested that you win your game. And I thought it was almost like bartering in a way. I'm going to give you something really good. Wow, that's really good. I'm going to give you really something good. And I don't think it requires special groups that are all connected, even like the writer group. You know, it's just people. It's people wanting to help people. And we're just people. In the months of February and March, 2 months, February and March, this is where this little board would, you might want to write this down. In those months, and it happened to be kind of interesting, every Saturday or Sunday, depending on the date, I'm going to do like an 8-week kind of all-for-one module workshop. And it's all done, almost all done, 99% done, on the telephone with a teleconference call that's free. So you call into a number, and in this case, I want to create groups of 5. That's a really kind of nice number. Everyone gets to share, and I'll tell you a little bit more, but I'm just giving you, let me just give you the basic information, then I'll tell you how it actually really works and what you're going to experience. So for February and March, either, depending on the time you pick, on a Saturday or a Sunday, this is weekend time, I've opened it up for like 6 groups. Now, obviously, we don't have the audience for 6 groups. We might have the audience for 2 groups. That would be quite wonderful. But beginning Saturday at 9:30 in the morning, 10:30 in the morning, and 12. Those are the 3 times on a Saturday. And the same thing on a Sunday, 9:30, 10:30, 12. Obviously, we're not going to use all 6. So it would be a little consolidation. Each call is 55 minutes long just to give time to spill over to the next call. And what we would be doing is that we would take some of the material and added material, your choice, for you to claim that you want to work on something. That this is just not another, I'm going to exercise and by January 18th you stop exercising. My investment is that in simply 2 months, you will have clarity exactly what you want and how to get it. Clarity on exactly what you want to work on and exactly how to get it. Could be short term, could be long term, doesn't really matter. You get to pick that. Part of it is based on what you experienced today, and then just maybe reflecting on how you would want to do that, okay? In addition to those 8 weeks, every person signing up for this would get a one-on-one call with me, which we would call it a laser coaching session, which could be scheduled during the week, you know, whatever our schedules work like. So you actually get a personal coaching session, and that's what I do all day. That's my career. That's what I do, so that we can then help this experience, this group experience, get a little bit more targeted with my expertise, and I am an expert in a number of things, particularly making people's lives grow, to help you along and answer those questions that don't quite show up in a teleclass. That's sort of what that is. And I would also encourage, you know, within this context, because I'm assuming most of you are from Los Alamos, that not only would you have this call, but you might make a friend, or you might meet for coffee, or the 5 of you go out to dinner, and you keep it going during the week. In other words, it keeps going. And one of the really wonderful things about this, it sort of has to do with these questions. Are you willing to get the help? That's the bottom line. Are you willing to get support and help? You'd get that help from me. In those calls, I'm sort of the guide in the calls. And each person would share sort of what they're desiring. And each week, we're going to see you produce the evidence that you want what you want. We call it accountability. I have found that when I ask, you know, past clients or they do testimonials, what was one of the things that really helped them not just start a diet and get off the diet? It was accountability. Accountability to their coach and accountability to their group. Because I saw 2 very human experiences happening, which I really am attracted to that. I saw that and that all of a sudden, you know, there's almost a tribal mentality, like someone wants to write, let me, you know, or I know someone who does, and that's what a lot of this is about. So that's, so for clarity, it's 8 weeks, it's on the weekend. An example would be Saturdays at 9:30, there's 5 people. And you all call a single line, we all talk, and I sort of help run the show. And then you schedule a private coaching session with me, which is all included into this. I'm just making sure I'm giving you logistics. And then I'd like to return back maybe to this room on the last, I think it's the last Saturday or something of March, because there's 5 weekends in March or something. And then kind of, I'm not sure what I want to do at that time. We'll certainly review and all that. But based on what shows up in those 8 weeks, it's 2 months. This is a 2-month commitment. Enough time to actually get somewhere. Enough time to actually make some progress and do that. And then see what, then I'd like to feel out, like, how do I want to bring closure to that particular couple of months so that it's sealed and quite a lifetime experience. My coach has always told me that, yes, we have conversations, coaching conversations, but if we do the work that we can do, if we do this well together, this is a lifetime value. This is like really making the change that you're looking to make. This is like, you start at one point, and if you move 2 degrees over, you land in a different destination. And you don't start a diet and get off of it. You don't start exercise and get off of it, but you actually have a plan in place. I think the key thing with what I'd like to accomplish as the facilitator is that you identify what you want, and that we together, particularly with me, create a strategy on exactly how to get it. And then we each week show our progress and share our progress with each other. The fee for that, for the 2 months, is $1,000 per person. That's what it is. And that sort of goes to the question of, are you willing to do what it takes? Well, I remember in early coaching, and I bought some pretty expensive coaches. One coach said, I bet you between Craigslist and eBay and a yard sale, you can find the money to pay for me. Because otherwise, all that stuff is just sitting in a box somewhere. But I think the bigger question, and this is the question that I was asked too, what if you don't? What if it is business as usual? This time next year, 2014, did you start a diet and it failed? And now you're 1 year older and things have moved along. And so I commit to absolutely making sure that everyone gets what they need, you know, in this workshop. Whatever, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Another extra phone call, you want it, you need it, you got it. A little longer on the thing because we didn't finish, we'll do it. So, because my own purpose is connected to your success. If you go to my website, I have some pretty nice testimonials. I forget to read them every once in a while, but I've helped thousands of people. Thousands. And that's what I'm into. That's what I do. So if you would like to participate on that, Diane will be out there, Mandy will be out there, and you can sign up for that. And there's different forms of payment if you choose to do that. So now I leave you with that. If you have some questions either about the workshop, about this experience, I think Mandy would like you to, at some point with the camera in some place, describe your experience if you had a good, and if you didn't, you know, that Ron, he's full of himself. You could put that right on the tape. Are there any questions or comments at this point as we conclude? Okay, so I think that's it. And I'm here if you, I'm not going anywhere. If you want to talk to me privately. Also, another option is you can simply work with me privately and you're not a part of a workshop. and we could talk about that or do that. So I applaud you. Thank you very much.